Just one question for Chairman Pulido. As a friend of the court, and for the record, will you explain to us how the PDF is disbursed up to the time that it reaches an NGO? Will you also tell us how an NGO is chosen?
Your Honor, I described earlier the general flow of release of the funds by the DBM, and that is prompted by a request or a letter of a proponent legislator to the Appropriations Committee of the lower house or the Finance Committee in the case of the Senate, requesting for the funds. And then this is transmitted by the Senate President and or the Speaker of the House to the DBM, on the basis of which the DBM issues the SARO and subsequently the NCA. The funds are released by the DBM directly to the implementing agency. We did not find any instance when the DBM released the funds to any of the proponent legislators. However, in the hands of the implementing agency, soon after the SARO is released, we found letters from the proponent legislators to the heads of the implementing agency, advising them generally that a SARO has been issued and that they desire a SARO has been issued allocating to them a certain portion of their PDAF entitlement, and that the legislator desires that this money be used for a certain project, and that a certain NGO is specified in the letter to be the partner in the implementation of this project. That is the general tenor, Your Honor, of letters that we have found in the course of our audit. And invariably, the heads of agencies would get in touch with the NGO, and then there is contact between the agency and the NGO. Certain documents are arranged to be executed between them, basically the memorandum of agreement, and soon after we find that the PDAF allocation of the proponent legislator that was released by the DBM to the implementing agency is soon transferred to the NGO. However, the implementing agency would normally retain a certain portion of the funds, on the average about 3% as management fee. So that is how the process that we have found and which we have documented goes, Your Honor.
So there's no bidding at all?
No.
No bidding
no
in
bidding,
the choice of the NGO?
No bidding, Your Honor, and that is precisely one of one of the findings, one of the more significant findings that we had. Not only that there is no bidding, but also under existing guidelines, Your Honor, for example, the implementing rules and regulations of the Procurement Act, RA 9184, in fact provides that an NGO and an implementing agency may enter into a memorandum of agreement for the implementation of a project when there is an appropriation or ordinance that specifically earmarks or authorizes the contracting out of a specific amount to such NGO. And we found, Your Honors, that there was no such appropriation or ordinance. Nonetheless, the implementing agencies transferred the funds to NGOs that were identified and endorsed by the legislators, and that also, even assuming that there would have been such an appropriation or ordinance, still the requirements of the procurement law and its implementing regulations that the selection of the NGO should be done through public bidding or negotiated procurement should have been followed. But again, these were not followed. And the RA 9184 and the implementing regulations also require that in any case, whether an NGO is selected on the basis of a bid or a negotiated procurement, there has to be a performance bond at the very least and a warranty.
Are any performance bond posted by the NGOs?
None at all, Your
None?
Honor.
And where do they get the names of these NGOs? Is there any system of accreditation or anything like that?
The NGOs were chosen on the basis of what the legislators asked them, put in their letters. So they were nominated by the NGOs, and the implementing agencies invariably just acceded to this direction and instruction from the NGOs. Again, Your Honor, the implementing regulations of RA